Oh, you're in charge now.
Yeah,
I'm starting shows.
You know what? I'm going to be the boss.
Do you
want to
do a show?
Yeah, I want to do a show.
Oh, you want to do a show?
We'll do a
All
show.
right,
How's
then.
that?
Let's do a show. See how I took it back?
Hollywood adjacent.
Live
Hollywood adjacent.
from Hollywood adjacent, a.k.a. nowhere near Hollywood.
But closer than.
Welcome to Hollywood Anonymous. I am Bryan Erwin.
I'm John Huck.
All right.
Yeah.
So, did it feel good to do your own intro this time? Remember when I used to ask you to riff? Remember back in the day?
Yeah, well, we tried to do songs about. I would try to make up lyrics, but I can't.
No.
On the
It's not
spot.
your thing.
Even though it is my thing in every other moment of my life.
What do you mean?
I'm like, if you could talk to Nicole, she'd, like, all I do is sing random nonsense.
Do you sing over songs that people are trying to listen to, like in the car, and does it annoy her?
Not all the time, but sometimes, and yes.
I do it to the kids all the time. I'm
Well, that's
surprised they haven't told me
because.
to shut up.
But that's because you're just trying to annoy them. Right? I mean, you're just trying to sing over their nonsensical, crappy pop kid music.
I
or
put
whatever.
their names in every song or an animal name in the
Yeah.
house in the songs.
Sure.
And they never say, like, can I just listen to the song?
Because it's not as fun. That's why. Did your kids know about Weird Al yet?
No.
Why not?
Why?
What do you mean? Because it's great.
I'm not. Again, this is not a platform to define the greatness of Weird Al Yankovic. I don't know why that happened.
There should be no platform. He's great. That's it. There's no platform.
I'm sure he is funny, but then again, it's like, would they understand half the stuff that he's talking about?
Yeah, well, especially his newer stuff that makes fun of the music that they listen to.
Oh, he's still doing stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He just won a Grammy. Dude.
Don't. Okay, first off, do not make fun of me because I'm not familiar with the
but
career
like
arc.
one
of
minute,
fucking Weird Al.
right.
Okay.
But also, the time to enjoy him is while you're young.
Well, everybody, our guest,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Dwayne Perkins,
I wasn't sure how this works. I'm
comedian.
sorry.
No, you're right. We should have told you. You don't talk until the last 5 minutes, and then we bring you in.
Yeah. We actually
We
just
plug
here to
whatever
observe.
crap you have, and then you just leave.
Right.
You're
Yeah, do we
you're-
call you a guest? No, they're called observers. We bring
Right,
people in to
right.
observe our show.
Hey, you want to come over and watch us do a podcast today? Oh, yeah. What time do I have to be there?
I have actually done some podcasts where it was so hard to actually be a part of the conversation that you almost say to yourself, "What? Why was I?"
Right.
Yeah.
Because and it's tough. I get that. Like if you have like a show and you have this dialogue that you want to have, but you also want somebody else in. How do you get them in? But we just decided like we're just going to ask you questions and then you're in. But
Right.
To say to somebody, "Hey man, it's up to you. If you got to you got to fight your point of view," and it's like, well, I didn't know this was supposed to be a word fight.
I think that happens when you have like multiple, like we have 15 people on the show today. You know what I mean? Then it's like everyone's vying for time. But like the purpose of this show is to talk to Dwayne and like
Only Dwayne. Well, it took us long enough.
every episode is supposed to be just Dwayne. Those other 30,
No one talked about you in the other
37
We tried.
episodes.
We tried.
That's upsetting.
Yeah.
Those
we
other-
tried calling you. You didn't answer.
Right.
those other episodes were practice runs for when Dwayne finally made it.
This is our final episode.
Right. That sounds like something you say, girl. Like every other girl was just
A practice.
preparing me
Yeah.
for you.
I don't.
And I
think they
still
would
fucked it up.
appreciate that.
God damn it.
Do you seriously think a woman would appreciate that comment?
Of course, you just got to keep that number low. You can't be like
Yeah.
the thousand other
The
girls.
last 2,733 chicks I've fucked have all been leading up to you.
Yeah, you got to keep that number low.
And
yeah.
this herpes.
This sore for you?
This is all for you. Dwayne, accomplished comedian, writer, and now, do we say filmmaker? Carpal tunnel survivor?
Like I read in a book. I read this book called
Or bowler.
How to Write Screenplays for Profit. I think the guys from
Thomas
Reno
Lennon.
911 wrote it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a part where they say like, you're not right. If you don't have carpal tunnel, you're not writing enough. And I actually had a carpal tunnel brace, so that made me feel.
So you're like, hey,
so you
guys,
don't really
I am
actually have
pumping
carpal
it
tunnel.
out.
You just got it because you wanted to make the feeling.
I'm
that
a
you've been
poser,
writing.
It
yeah.
says here, I gotta be. If I'm going to be a screenwriter, I gotta have the carp tons.
Every time you're at Starbucks every morning, all this writing for success.
Can you just hold the cup for me while I drink from it because my carpal tunnel is acting up?
Do you guys have carpal tunnel straws?
Does it act up or is it always painful?
You know what it is? It only when I type, and it helps if I wear it while I sleep.
Oh, okay.
I find if I sleep on a couch, I really need it. Because I don't know why. Sometimes I fall asleep on the couch. I do weird things, like I wake up and
You'll be twisted
it's like
underneath you
in
and-
my sleep. I'm trying to destroy my wrist. I don't know what's happening, and so this helps a lot. And not to crap on MacBooks or anything, because I really like my MacBook, but it's I used to have it a long time ago when I had a day job. Since my MacBook, it's worsened.
Really?
Yeah, because where
there's
this
no it's square and not the other one's kind of sloped down, right?
well, also it's like this trackpad thingy.
Wider.
It's far from the keyboard, so I can't put like a book here. Like, there's nothing I can put here because when I have like a HP laptop, I just would put a book at the end of it.
Oh, okay,
to
to
elevate
rest.
my wrist,
Okay,
and then
yeah.
I had no problem. I really can't do that here unless if I put something across the base of the keyboard here, then I'm covering up the trackpad.
Right.
Then I have to be the guy with the external mouse. I don't want to be that guy.
Dude, get that.
You don't
Get
want to
an
be the external
Dude,
mouse guy.
How about this? For a long time, I had an external mouse and an external keyboard.
Oh, wow.
'cause I spilled Coors Light all over my watching the Mars rover. I just remember where I was when I did this for some reason, but I was watching the Mars rover on my computer in in Omaha.
Oh,
I was
wow.
in the comedy condo for the Funny Bone there, I think. And I was like, oh yeah, look at that, that's cool. And I'm like getting excited about the Mars rover, and I knocked over an entire 24-ounce Coors Light onto my computer. I was like, oh shit, and I just tried to clean it up and mat it out and dry it off, and it just shut down. And I was like, uh-oh. And then they got it to turn back on, but they were like, yeah, well, your keyboard's kind of fried, but you can just get an external keyboard for like $10.
There it is.
So I did that.
He coughs every episode.
So I did that, and my boss, like, the first time I pulled that out of my bag at work, he was like, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, I got an external keyboard, I got this HP thing. He's like, just get a Mac. Just get a Mac. I was like, okay.
Well,
Yeah,
that's old guys tech talk.
You don't want to be external keyboard and external. There's only one thing worse than literally pulling out a keyboard and using it for a device that has a keyboard. And that is, and I've seen this more than once, believe it or not, is the guy who brings his desktop to Starbucks.
No.
Yeah,
You've never
I've
seen
seen.
that. That's something you saw on a TV show.
I swear
He
to
also
God.
has a lot of other things in his car, right? That's the one where there's a lot of newspapers.
Yeah, that's the guy
and-
who we don't know where he's living exactly. Yeah,
He plugs a. Hey, where can I put my modem?
If
Like,
you-
who the fuck is doing that? How are you
That's the
doing
thing.
that?
So that's the thing about
Go to the library if you want to use a fucking
working customer service in places like that. Like, where's the line of like when you have to ask somebody,
Hey,
what,
dude,
I'm sorry,
this isn't
but you can't.
Yeah, it's not your public office.
Yeah, you can't bring your desk.
But well, here's the problem
Hold
with
my
that.
calls, dude. You don't work here.
Because that also says, by the way, I'm not leaving today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like, if you bring a desktop in-
There's
Absolutely.
not a lot that's like I got to pack this up and take it to the next place.
Absolutely, and
Every hour.
And you know that the problem with it is Starbucks didn't write down rules for this. It's not like
They didn't expect this. They were like, we're going to start a coffee shop, and everyone's going to pretend like it's their fucking home office.
So when that manager comes over and goes, "Sir, we don't allow desktops."
Oh, this
the
guy
guy's
can
like,
have his computer, but I can't have mine. Fuck you.
"Show me where it's written
Yeah.
that I can't bring my desktop."
Bring the rule pamphlet out here. Let me have a look-see. God damn.
Two
Yeah.
screens because he was editing.
Oh, my God.
A whole edit
I
suite.
swear, I've seen
Brings
all
in
that
an
kind of
Avid
stuff.
machine. He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
God, I'm just editing. It's not a big deal. Like, it's kind of a big deal. Could you guys keep the lights down?
Yeah.
It's got to stay cool in here.
Or the guy that has you don't know what he's doing, but he's got like that electronic pen, and he's just is he designing? Is he drawing?
Is he making you wonder what he's doing?
Right.
He's got nothing going on in his life. Why am I mesmerized by this dude? He's probably just drawing old band symbols like on his fourth
Yeah.
grade notebook.
So you are a public writer. Meaning
yes,
that you like
yes.
to be in the general public. Does your mind need activity crossing your paths at all times in order for you to focus? Meaning, if you put yourself in your house,
Right.
you're most likely going to accomplish
Yes and
nothing.
no. You know, it's weird. This all started because I used to have a roommate. This is going back 5 years ago.
Okay.
And he was a good guy, but he was the kind of guy like when you joked about being on the podcast and not speaking. Like we were roommates, but it was like his place, and it just like he just dominated the common area. Like I wasn't a guy who needed to go anywhere. I would just sit at a desk and do stuff. But
Yeah.
like literally, his presence. It seeped into my room. Like it would just come under the crack of the door. Like, so I'd have to get out of there to just feel like I could get anything done. And that's when it started. And then I kind of liked it. I liked the noise, the like I drink tea all day. And there's chicks walking by. I like the whole situation. Yeah.
All right.
So I don't.
Are you an east side, or do you stay on the adjacent when you write, or do you like to move around?
I like to move around, but I'm mainly in Pasadena.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
And
Okay.
Highland Park and South Pass. But I'll take my operation anywhere.
Like, do you ever get crazy? Like, I want to go to a fucking Starbucks in Malibu.
Well, then, yeah. I mean, that's a commitment.
Typically, I would have to have something going on over there. But like, if I have something to do somewhere at 10, then I might just say, boom, I'm going to
stay
get up
here.
at like 5 or 6.
That's
Go early.
Shoot over there.
Who are you seeing at
and
6 o'clock in the
set
morning
up-
at Starbucks?
Oh, it is.
Or is it only Starbucks? Are you a Starbucksian?
Mainly because
Okay.
I'm locked into the point system now, and I feel bad about that. But
Are you a phone? So you're a phone payer?
yeah, I'm a phone payer.
I got this Starbucks tattoo. I'm locked into the point system.
Yeah.
I signed a legal contract. I can't drink coffee anywhere else.
Well, if you're like a local mom and pop place, you can compete. You just need to give me like a free cup of coffee, a free cup of tea every 10th cup, and I'll.
How many cups of tea do you have a day? Like, is this paying off every day?
Here's the thing with the Starbucks plan is once you become a gold member, that first cup you pay
That's
for.
the inner circle, John. It's the inner circle.
That first cup you pay for, the other ones are completely free.
All right, this is a
See?
lot like Scientology, is what it's sounding like.
No, what's the other one? What's the other thing where it's the pyramid? Mason. He's a It's more like the Mason.
He's a Freemason.
He's a
Yeah,
Freemason,
yeah. So I get the thing is though,
Mason free coffee.
Stone cutters,
Yeah.
Simpsons.
a lot of people don't know the policy. So I've had some guys, they say things like, "Do you just want more hot water?" And I'm like, "No, I want another tea bag." That's exactly what I want. Another tea bag. Go ahead, do that. And they charge you 50 cents, but you don't get charged. I feel like you need to stop me from talking about this. This is I'm digging a hole or something. Like,
Well, I'm just
please save me.
I wanted to point out also that as much as he's talking about tea, he's also wearing a sweater. You know what I mean? He's got nice,
always
nice
well
pants.
dressed.
He's
You're always well dressed.
Banana Republic.
But
yeah.
now the more I think, because I'm used to seeing you on stage or seeing
You're
you at a
branded.
club.
You're very branded.
Yes.
When we worked at that movie, but I guess I've never seen you out drinking like 55 cups of tea in a day and acting like Mr. fucking Rogers. So it's like, okay, all right, that's.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Brooklyn,
Okay.
New York,
All right.
from Coney Island.
That makes
And,
sense, though. You're a little bit on the hipster side, huh?
Yeah. Well, no.
But
I'm
that-
from
not back then.
I'm
There
from
were-
pre-hipster. Yeah, I'm
I was gonna say,
way.
that's-
Yeah, but
I'm kind of
but
locked
now-
into it now a little
What was
bit.
Brooklyn
a little.
like for you growing up? Like, what was the Brooklyn, the Coney Island that...
Well, you don't know things are bad until you leave, right? So it's not like
You just-
I
you're
thought
used
it was
to
really
it.
that bad.
Right.
I mean, I thought it did get bad when the crack
I was gonna say,
came
New
in.
York had this big
Yeah.
cleanup phase, and I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
remember when that took place. But were
It
you,
was
were
like
you pre
Giuliani.
or during that?
I was during and pre
okay,
that too.
okay.
So late '80s.
you remember
it was,
crack coming
it
in.
was it was crack. it was bad. It was bad. I remember one building that I used to live in, but I moved out of that building. Here's how bad it was. Like they fired their security guard system. Like it was just a run of the mill security guards, and they brought in the FOI, which stands for Fruits of Islam. Like they brought in the Farrakhan guys.
Wow.
Because they just in the hood they get a little bit more respect.
Yeah.
Something they don't like. They wear those glasses.
They don't wear
they
police
talk.
uniforms. They dress different,
yeah.
but you know who they are.
You know who they
and
are,
They're
and
intimidating because they don't
You
talk.
hear stories like they all know karate and stuff like that. So
They're not afraid to kill you.
right? But
Back when karate sounds scary.
right.
I know
Yeah,
karate,
they know
yes.
correct. Well, fuck, dude, I don't. So that's terrifying.
Right, exactly. And so I grew up in that Brooklyn, and the weird thing is, it's like I've had a fight. I have not had a fight in my adult life, which I'm very proud of. But growing up, it was like weekly, daily fights.
It really was.
fights.
So,
Yeah.
and for what reason though? Was it an alpha male like find your place kind of fights, or
Or
was it
just
just
any
everybody was
reason?
just everyone was angry,
Oh,
and
there
so it
was-
just always turned into something?
Just a lot of reasons. A lot of times it was just for me, like I just got to that limit. It was a critical mass of like these are the kids that can fuck with me, and we can curse, right? These are the kids that can mess with me, and I'll run from them, and I couldn't add anyone else to that list. It just the list was too big,
Yeah.
right? So I remember riding my bike.
It can't be everybody.
Yeah, it can't be everybody.
Y'all can't be on the list, you motherfucker.
So I remember riding my bike, and
You're not
this-
invited to my party.
yeah. And this kid I wasn't that afraid of. I'm riding my bike, and he goes, and I'm on a bike. Like I passed him on a bike. He can't catch me. We're good. But he goes, he just screams out, "I'm going to rob your bike. I'm going to steal your bike, or take your bike."
Yeah.
I hit the brakes,
Come
get
get
off,
it.
and I just lump him up. There's no talking. I just punch him in the face like 6 times.
Wow.
I get back on the bike. Like, you are not going to take my bike.
And not only that, now you're never going to think about taking my
No.
bike or even yelling at me again.
Yeah, that's not going to happen with you. And now another kid, I may have pedaled
Just
a little
kept going.
faster.
yes.
Yeah, so
Chase me, motherfucker.
Right,
You're not gonna
right.
get it.
I forget. There's been that's the beauty of Netflix. There's so much information, and every once in a while, I stumble across some documentaries talking about New York back in the day, or you watch older movies from like the 70s in New York, and you forget that
shithole.
it literally does.
It really was.
Doesn't look like the Disneyland that it looks like now. It really was. There were like burnt out like whole portions of the cities that were just dilapidated and vacant.
It was really bad. And like 42nd Street, oh man, it was fun because back then you go to 42nd Street, you see 2 movies for the price of one, either 2 karate flicks or whatever they were playing. It was 2 movies, but you were taking life, your life into your own hand.
Right.
But we would go down there all the time because like 2 movies for the price of one, we just couldn't. It was mind blowing.
We could see 2 movies, but we only pay for one.
Does that even exist anymore?
Back then, it was probably like the cost of a movie was like.
It's like
bucks.
$4 or $5, and you see 2 movies.
And did you have brothers and sisters?
I did, but they were a lot younger than me. They never experienced the New York guy experience.
How much younger?
11 years younger. Well,
my
stepsister is like 2 years younger than me, but my brothers and sisters, like, we're all from islands, believe it or not. Like, I'm from Coney Island, which is really a peninsula, but my siblings are from Roosevelt Island, which people don't even know about. It's just a small little island underneath the 59th Street Bridge.
Okay.
It's in the East River. It's night and day. Like, they grew up, like, with just enough New York. The slang. They're
but
very.
That island is so small, isn't it?
It's you could throw a rock across the whole thing. I promise you.
I think I've seen it when I was like, do people live there? And it's like there's like 5 houses or something. It's like the tiniest.
Well, they keep building on it, but across it's like a mile and a half long, right?
Okay.
And people in not even people in New York know about it.
Like,
but across, it's like not 2 blocks across. Like, I'm serious.
It's
you
that
could throw
tiny.
a football all the way across.
let's go out and play baseball. Oh, we lost the ball in the river again. We're done. Oh, we lost the ball in the river again.
But probably 3,000 people live there because they have so many high rises. Yeah, and that's where they grew up.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of a different little island I saw because I remember seeing something like there's like
Gilligan's?
8 people if anybody lives on that. Yeah, maybe I'm thinking it's like a 3-hour tour of some kind.
Right.
And then something, but then the Harlem Globetrotters were there, so that was good.
So yeah, they grew up on that island, and it's good. It's good. It's good growing up without violence if you can help it.
I
Yeah.
fucking
Good
I'd
words, good words,
recommend it.
good words of wisdom from you
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Put that on a fortune cookie.
Which is interesting that I would never would have pegged you for the guy that was getting into fights growing up. I think I only ever got into 2.
Right.
And it was just more of a Hulk rage fight where someone just wouldn't leave me alone, and I was like, if I got to fight, I was not a fighter, And I always assumed that most people that I know, like, you can feel that energy, like, oh, this person used to always get in some fisticuffs.
Does
right?
not mind mixing it up.
I would never have pegged you as the guy that would be willing to get off his bike and get into a fight.
There's a little bit of that, like, smiles a lot, real friendly now, but like back in the day, like I could see like it's like Denzel in The Equalizer. Like, you don't have to say a lot. He doesn't have to say a lot. It's like he's like, look, you're gonna take me for this or you're not, and that's the deal. And I just think there's a calmness about Dwayne that says to me, I would never sneak up behind him and go, yeah, tickle fight, and then get an elbow to the face or something.
Did you? Sorry, go ahead.
No,
I would sneak up on other people and tickle fight them.
Okay, that's good to know. Is that on Craigslist? Is that on Craigslist?
Watch your back. Misconnections. I tried to tickle fight you on the subway.
No, there's actually a thing. It's tickle fighting, cuddle parties. Yeah, there's a whole section.
Well, then, I'm going to go to the tickle fight section of Craigslist.
How long did you live in that? I mean, so basically, take us like your childhood.
Till I was 18.
And then
till I went to college in Long Island. Yeah, and I don't think I didn't have any fights in college either. Just
I would like to believe at some point you'd be like, listen,
some
I don't think
arguments.
I have to fight my way through everything.
Yeah.
Well, too, the thing is that these fights are when I'm like a little kid. Like by the time I'm like, my last fight was like 14, I think.
So high school kind of calmed down, which is odd. You normally think that's when the testosterone kicks in hardcore.
It is, but like where I'm from, like I'm the type of guy you can tell me something and like I don't fact check it. I just do it. Like someone told me. Just like I had a job and they brought in this corporate coach and she just mentioned in passing, like we were eating, she mentioned in passing, your food digests better if you don't drink while you eat it. You should wait like 15 minutes. And I was like, okay. And I did that for like 10 years. Like I never, you know what I mean?
Never fact checked it. Never like, hey, doctor, is this right about digestion?
Right. So I heard somewhere that like for a black man, right? The greatest risk of getting shot and killed was like until you're 25, right? Then it like drops down. So like by the time I was like 15, I was like, I can't really get into fights anymore
because people have guns.
People have guns,
fucking knives, and it's not just you and some kid yelling about a bike.
Right.
It's a guy who's now got his fucking. He's got to prove himself and show you what
he has a worse life at home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. I think you have a joke about that whole thing of like people. What are people? There's a football joke, right?
Yeah. Right.
What
like,
they're playing for.
Exactly.
Different sides of the park, right?
And it doesn't really matter how tough you are, even if you're from the same place. Once it's established that you have something to live for, and they may unfortunately not. And you that's not a person you can fight. You know what I mean? If you can help it, So I began to have something to live for. Not that I was a comedian yet, but like, you could see like college
You
was going to
wanted a
happen.
future.
And,
you wanted to live.
Right.
Was that ingrained in you through your family? Do you come from what were your parents? Your parents stayed together? No, they're not. Parents stay together.
No. They're not educated, super educated. My grandmother, a little bit. My grandmother was from the South. She's very like, she made her share of mistakes, but she still had that Southern way about her. And like, black people say things like, act your age, not your color. That's the thing black people say, which means act the right way. So yeah, college was always, because I did well in school. It became a thing. It wasn't like I'm from a place where people go to college.
Okay.
It was just sort of like, and it wasn't like my family was like, do your homework and all of that. I just kept bringing home A's, and they were like, oh shit, well, maybe we should go to college.
Yeah. You seem to be applying yourself with no outside pressure.
So you actually, I personally, I hated high school. Like
Right.
I did whatever I had to just to get by. Like C plus for me was a victory, and I'm fine with that. So I always wonder the mind of someone who's not being pushed to get A's. Like, what, was it just for you? Like, do you think? And I don't mean this in an arrogant way for you to answer it, but like, was homework kind of easy for you?
Yeah, it was. I mean, high school wasn't super easy because there was a lot of it, and I had a job, but it wasn't too bad. Whenever I applied myself, it was quite easy. And I think the only bad thing is not knowing your competition. Like, the reason why you see like NBA players and their sons become NBA players, it's not only genes, it's context. It's that father, like it's like Steph Curry's father Dale told him when he was in high school, you kind of shoot from the hip. You got to change your whole shot. Like, who else is going to tell you to change your? And it goes in, right? Your current shot goes in,
right?
But your dad goes, that shot is done. You got to. It won't work. And he spends the whole summer changing his shot, right? So that was my only downfall, was like being a little bit better than people around me and not knowing there were people better than me or as good as me.
You didn't have the mentor,
not
per
seeing
se,
them every day,
somebody
right?
didn't challenge you to say, all right,
right.
listen, you can take it to the next level.
Right. But I still did all right, yeah.
Athletics? Were you an athletic guy? Or
basketball,
were you more,
a little bit. Basketball, a little bit.
But academia was kind of where you were at.
They called me Whiz Kid where I'm from. Like, I was the only one in my neighborhood to have a computer. Like, one or two to have a computer.
Your desktop that you brought out at Starbucks?
Right. I mean, I mainly played games, but people would come and,
And met older men online?
Right. Yes.
Had accident in chat rooms that you weren't supposed to be in?
Games and entered chat rooms.
For your $12.95 you paid for AOL?
I had 9 AOL discs, 7 hours apiece. Everyone's like, oh my God, Dwayne's a wizard.
That's great.
Those people have no idea what it was like. That open world of the first internet.
Getting
that disc and going, oh my God, if I put this in, there's a whole world out there I get to talk to. And then it's just some guy going, what's your name? How old are you? Right? Like the first thing that happens to you is just an attack on your.
It's like it was the first like chat roulette kind of deal. Like just put it in and whoops, there's a dick. All right, great.
So did you do theater? Like, where did your desire to become an entertainer? When did it start? When was the inkling of it?
Those 2-for-1s?
It's tough. I would make people laugh. But people know me completely. I'm an all-purpose person. Like I'm a completely different person in different settings. So like my family on my father's side, they heard I was doing comedy. Like, he doesn't even talk. Like, how's he doing comedy? Like, so they knew me as just a smart, quiet guy. My mother's side of the family thought I was funny. And growing up, people in my neighborhood, some thought I was funny, some thought I didn't talk at all. I think I played in The Wiz when I was like in 5th grade. At the Scarecrow in The Wiz, because my music teacher heard I could dance because I used to pop a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Pop and lock?
Pop lock and stuff, yeah.
Can you give us a demonstration for the listeners?
right.
Oh, my God, that's awesome, Dwayne.
Yeah.
Great moves. That's impressive.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think, and then in college, I started, like, doing more things. I think it happened, like, I was always a fan of comedy, stand-up. and then it wasn't until college I realized, I could do stand up, and so
you actually started doing stand up in
That's fairly
college.
early to learn to figure it out.
yeah,
though.
yeah. Well, what happened was this guy I knew, we did a show at school where it was like the Apollo at my college, and we tried to rap. Me and this other guy tried to rap. He was actually better than I was. His name was Magic Juan. He actually went on to be a pretty big rapper in like Latin America.
Magic Juan.
Magic Juan.
Hilarious.
And I think he's Dominican, but he rapped in Spanish.
Sure.
And he did his thing. So he never got to his part of his rap because we got booed when I was rapping, right? So
He's like, you start, we'll finish with Thunder. And you're like, no, we're not going to get past me. I suck.
so we got booed. And here's the thing
The
about
clown
rap.
come and sweep you off the stage?
Yeah, it was the whole,
Yeah.
But the rap, though, is like they have to know the song. Either that or you have to be really aggressive, right?
Okay.
They don't know the song. It's like, what is this, right? So anyway, one of the guys who was my backup dancer, we had the whole thing. Like he came back 2 years later one summer, and he's like, I started stand-up. I'm like, what do you mean you started stand-up? He's like, I do stand-up. And
Isn't
I was
that
like,
weird when you first hear it? You're like, what?
Yeah.
Tell me
What do you
more
mean you
about
just
this.
do stand-up.
Yeah.
That sounds
You
insane.
assume that there's some weird path that
Training camp.
Right.
gotta
So
go
you were
through.
you became like intrigued at that moment of
yeah,
like, what is
yeah.
this all
and
about?
he's a funny guy, but I'm like, you're doing stand-up.
Yeah.
What the
I'm funnier than you, pal. Sit down.
So, and then like, what people don't. Here's the thing. I had a job interview one summer at Microsoft, which is crazy. I don't even know how I talked my way into this to like test software.
You had a computer when you were 10.
They fly me out to Seattle, and to this day, my mother told me to write a thank you letter, and I didn't write the thank you letter, and I think that hurt me because I also realized I answered one question wrong, and I should have. I didn't get the job, but I had already written down if I don't get this Microsoft job, I'm going to start stand up. So.
That's what you wrote down. Instead of a thank you letter, you have a note to
Yeah.
yourself somewhere that says, if
Yeah,
I don't get this.
I wrote it down on
You
a
still
piece of
have it?
paper.
You
No,
mean-
I don't still have it.
Was
yeah.
the thank you letter supposed to tell them thank you for not hiring me because now I've
No, but before.
before that.
Yeah, before, like right after.
Thank you for meeting with me.
Thank you for meeting with me. Oh, I answered that one question wrong, blah, 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 that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think I was a little nervous at the interview. And
But dude,
nerves are never good. Like, I'm learning now that, like, when I was a kid, I used to be, like, such a dick. So overconfident. And then I'm, like, being around other people, I felt like, this is no way to be. And I think I went too far the other side. I think it's okay to be a little...
you have to believe in yourself and what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm back to like talking my shit, my Brooklyn shit. You know what I mean? Not always, but certain circles.
But there's a difference
Yeah.
between like talking shit and then like you're also out doing things. Like if you're just a guy I knew who I did stand up with every once in a while, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna write a movie or I'm gonna do this. It's like, okay, yeah, we're all gonna do a lot of shit,
Right.
But you actually went out and you did some of these things. So it's like, okay, then you're working towards a goal. You're working to move forward, and that. I mean, you must enjoy it.
Which
Oh, yeah.
which brings me to
Thank
my overall question, which was stand up the driving force for you? Like, did you want to be a stand up? Was that the priority, or were you thinking to yourself, I'm more interested in like television or film or directing or like what was your
I don't think I thought about it
at all?
that deeply, but I wanted to be funny. I wanted to be a stand up, and then actually, I think a lot of the acting and stuff, which is great, and I do it. Once you come to LA, you got to expand your hustle, right?
Yeah, I don't think you have to, but I think it's for someone like you. Or I think it's important that we all do as much as we can,
Right.
without narrowing it down to like I'm just a commercial actor, I'm just a fucking comedian, I'm just
Right. And so it's been fun to expand. I think I like telling stories at the end of the day, and so yeah, I sometimes I wish I'd stuck like. I stayed in New York maybe another year or two. I mean, I was in Boston, actually. I moved to Boston, but I wish I stayed in New York a little longer and focused primarily on stand-up. But I like my life. I like what I'm doing here. But I do think I was kind of in with those New York guys who, like, they don't like L.A. guys. They think it's
That
not
rubs
the
off on you a
purest
little bit.
form and blah, blah, blah.
they just want to be on TV.
Yeah. So when I moved out here, I think some of my New York people cast me away. And
It's like a divorce.
Yeah, and how many
Yeah.
of them are out here now?
a lot of them,
And how many of them stopped doing comedy? The ones that did move out here?
Right.
Yeah. Good for them.
So, tell me, do you remember the first time you decided where and when you did
Absolutely,
your comedy
yeah,
the first time?
absolutely.
So you wanna walk
do you
us
remember
through
your
that?
first joke?
I remember my first set of jokes. I'm not sure what I did first. Well, what happened was that guy that I knew was doing comedy. I didn't get the job at Microsoft. Instead, I was working at some like HR benefit firm. I had a summer gig though, And then I went to the Black Expo, which is a thing that happens in cities all around the country where it's a showcase of black businesses. Like,
Okay.
we're talking about like early 90s, so it's like support black businesses, and you go and you learn, and you know, they have deals and all that stuff. And there's a comedy club there.
Oh my God, you guys are having secret meetings.
Yeah.
I did not know about this thing at all. I didn't know there was a thing like that.
Yeah, so there's a comedy
Look
club.
at yourself in the mirror and you understand why you weren't invited.
Why did no one send me the memo? I think you might be a little white.
Well, I think there are white people there, though.
Sure,
This
of course.
is Jacob Javits Center in New York City, West Side, and the convention center. So there's a comedy club there. I woke up to them. I go, how do you do comedy? How do you start? And they go, oh, come every Wednesday. We have a showcase on Wednesday, and we do the open mic on the new. They call it the New Jacks. We did a New Jack segment on Sunday. I'm like, okay, bet. And as I'm telling you the story, I'm realizing how much me and my little brother are alike, because he's way beyond me. His tunnel vision is epic. I'll tell you stories about it. It's
Okay.
epic, but I'm realizing this was a bit of tunnel vision. So they told me that. That Wednesday, I went to the little meeting, and it was like an hour thing, and they go, here's a joke. It's set up, premise, set up, punch.
Oh,
Wait a minute, so
like
they
a
actually-
class,
they-
like
they-
a thing. Like
Yeah,
how to
yeah.
So
be-
before you took the stage, you're like, listen, we'll help you figure out what
they
comedy is.
were amazing, and it was actually, I'm not even kidding you, in that room with me, like guys who wanted to do comedy. It's me, it's Tracy Morgan, Rich Pierre, right, and we're fucking just sitting there, and the guy's telling us, named Monterio Ivy, who's passed away. He's showing us comedy, and then that Sunday I go to a show just to watch. I see Tracy Morgan get on stage for the first time ever. I never really tell this story. He fucking kills.
Oh, really?
he was just
amazing.
from the get-go.
Yeah.
It was just like, by
He's-
the way,
yeah.
I'm fucking hilarious.
He's amazing. Like his final bit was like it was a Busta Rhyme thing. He did a parody, and I did a parody too. He did a parody of the scenario, and like, here we go, yo.
Here we go.
Yeah.
What's
So
the
he says
scenario?
he's like Busta Rhyme has. It killed. Trust me, it's not going to kill right now.
Right.
But he's like, oh, Busta Rhyme has those big dick sucking lips. Everyone just loses it, and then he starts doing Busta Rhyme. And he goes, as I combine all the dicks I could find, and everyone just fucking, everyone loses it. Everyone completely loses it.
Did you have to follow him?
No, I didn't go that week.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So Wednesday I go to the Uptown for the little seminar. Friday I go to the Improv. This is all in Harlem. What I'm telling you.
Okay, all
Friday I go to like the like a regular mainstream show. I see William Stevenson and some other people at the Improv. That's a good show. And then Sunday I see Tracy. The next Sunday I go on stage and I do 5 minutes and I kill. Then the next Sunday I bomb.
Were you-
But the first one,
but
I
did you
first
prepare?
one, you had that beginner's luck. You had
I
that.
killed, yeah.
But did you prepare a lot?
Yeah.
Were you like, all right, I got to. I mean,
Well,
were you a memorizer,
I don't know
or
if
were
I
you just? Did you go up and go, all right, here's my idea?
No, I had some jokes ready. I had just stupid stuff. Had something like my girlfriend won't blow my horn, and and then something like how did that joke go? It was basically her sister. I was gonna like get her sister to blow me, or her sister had been blowing me, as opposed to her. But it was all blow your horn. Then I did my own. I did two parodies. I did a Stevie Wonder, Junk Food Fever, instead of Jungle Fever. It was, what if Jungle Fever was written for Roseanne Barr? I think it would have gone a little something like this. And I put the glasses on, and I've got junk food fever, can't say no to pizza, and it's a big thing. And
Yeah, tell me there wasn't a little bit of Weird Al inspiration at all.
yeah, right, exactly.
Oh my God.
And then I do Michael Jackson. Do you remember? I was the first one to do it. Not proud of this, but I saw some guys do it after, and I let it go. But I did. Do you remember the time when I used to be black? Michael Jackson, and yeah, and that was that. Yeah,
That's a lot in 5 minutes, by the way.
yeah, and it's like.
Did it seem like forever?
It did, and it's also not. It's not a precursor of like what I was going to become in terms of a writer. It was really weird. Like even saying it, I'm like,
That's what I was going to say. I was going to point. The funny thing is that you don't do anything like that anymore. You're not up there
Right.
doing parodies. You're not putting on fucking glasses being Stevie Wonder. You don't even do impressions. You go up there and you basically you tell stories about.
right.
This is not what your
every day.
experience was. This is what I always told people. The first time I desired to do stand up, I watched it a couple times, and then I knew that I had booked a gig. Right, it was at a comedy club, and
in Wisconsin.
in Milwaukee.
Yeah, so you knew before you came
And the minute, because there's that threshold, right? Like the anxiety, and then there's that first step on stage. Like it's a different world. Like there's that, you're part of the audience, part of the regular world. Step onto the stage, everything, your whole dynamic of your world changes.
Yeah.
And I've always told people that, for me, that once that perspective changes, because no one really understands, they don't see what you see. So when you get up there, you either realize at that moment you're comfortable and you go, I can live up here, and then regardless of how you do, kill, not kill, eat it. Did it feel like you belonged up there? And
Absolutely.
I realized after my first set, when I walked away, I was like, I can do this. I actually really liked being up there. As weird and the anxiety, all the weird thing that go on in your head, I was okay with all of it.
All worth it.
I will never not be afraid to go up there again.
Definitely. And you know,
And even if you are afraid, you'll never let that stop you from going up there.
No,
Never let it stop you, yeah.
So when you went up, did you feel like I belong up here?
Absolutely,
Like, it's a weird thing to think, but
I remember dating this girl I was dating at the time. She lived in Baltimore, and I was sort of giving her the play-by-play. And she was like, you know, how did it go? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, it went well. And she was like, oh, wow, that's great. Congrats. And I was like, but even if it had gone bad, this is what I'm doing this thing. This is what I'm doing. And I was all over the place. I was also, at the time, I was dropping on this hip-hop dance class from time to time. And I went to this hip-hop dance
Well-rounded, buddy,
class.
well-rounded.
And I swear to you, I got recognized at the hip-hop dance class. I had
Someone
done
saw
comedy
you on stage.
once ever. And this girl at the hip-hop dance class was like, you're a comedian, right? And I was like,
Say yes.
yeah.
Say yes.
labeled.
And it was that kind of fueled it, too. I mean, it was literally that week. She said, you're a comedian. Not like, oh, you tried to do comedy Sunday.
I saw you struggle through 5 minutes of nonsense the other day. You're not going to do that again, are you?
So this is this was in Harlem your first time, and
Yes,
did you
in
kind
Harlem.
of stay in that area, or how did you develop? And you said that you stayed. So
well, what happened to me is that I was still in college. So
Okay.
I was doing it like once in a blue when I was home.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you didn't do it out. You didn't do it. You
didn't
only
do it
did
at
it back
college.
home, huh?
Right. Well, college was Long Island, and home was the city.
But there was nothing by college. There was nothing there, or you just didn't have the time.
No, I would just, when I went back to school, I would like host shows. I would host talent shows and things like that.
Okay, but
and
not
I would,
traditional stand-up.
And I'd be funny in between, but mainly cracking jokes on people I knew, kind of thing. And when I went home to visit my mom, I'd dip in and go to Harlem and try to do a show. So it was
Okay.
like the progress wasn't.
But do
meanwhile,
you think you were only comfortable doing comedy kind of where you were from?
no, not really. I didn't.
You just
that's
didn't
all
know
I
anywhere
knew,
else to
right?
go, yeah.
And it was actually the reverse, really. And
You'd rather do it anywhere else.
and the reason why I was a clean comic too is because they, at the time, I've always like looked younger than I was, and I was in my 20s, but they didn't buy it. So I think I couldn't be dirty. You know, it was like,
Yeah, you couldn't be eating pussy and like.
Yeah, they were like,
you just learned to
that's
ride
not-
a bike without
that's not
training
you,
wheels.
yeah.
You're talking about the audience. So
The audience, right.
You had this vibe, and you thought to yourself, okay, I'm doing this joke, and they're not buying it because of the way I look.
right. They dictated to me that I was going to be clean.
Yeah.
Because I looked younger than I was, and they just didn't buy it.
The kid. You were the kid.
Yeah.
The kid shouldn't
Yeah.
be that way.
And
Also-
you're still pretty clean, right?
I'm still pretty clean. That's what started. So it's like I started clean in black rooms, which is weird. Like had I
Yeah.
started not in black rooms, I may have been dirty. But black, like the guy after me and before me was going to talk about pussy.
Yeah.
They were like, well, we don't want you to talk about that. Just do something else.
Yeah.
That's what at least that's what I got from them. Also, my grandmother was still alive. My siblings were really young. So in my mind, I was always like wanted to be able to do a show that they could see. And so that kind of,
That's a pretty.
Yeah.
That's a nice, noble. I like that attitude.
But you also know it gets you a lot more work in the long run.
Yeah, well, that's what I was
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
say.
Hey,
And how
I mean,
well
it
that
does. The
panned
truth
out
of the matter,
because
it does.
You're right.
There's more opportunities.
It really does,
Paid
yeah.
opportunities.
Corporate gigs,
Yeah.
right.
like I mean,
I think superstardom, maybe being dirty, can help if you're dirty and vulnerable. Like you just can't be dirty. But if you're
Right.
dirty and
Yeah.
you're Richard Pryor, I do think kids like to sneak in and watch something that's dirty, and
Sure.
so you get that thing. But clean definitely worked. And what happened with me is I got a job in Boston when I graduated.
So is that where you really kicked off your
Yeah,
career?
right.
Okay.
Exactly. So then like.
because that's how when I first met you, someone tells you
Yeah.
he's a Boston comic, and I was
Yeah,
like, oh,
I am a
okay.
Boston comic in that sense.
So that's how you identify yourself.
Yeah, because I was an open micer still. By that time, I was still doing comedy only in Harlem and sometimes like in the Village. And then I moved to Boston and then it was all that scene, and that was all I was doing at that point.
Now, everybody talks about how hard New York is.
Yeah.
I've heard it is not easy to get into the Boston scene. Is that
don't know.
not true?
It wasn't that hard for me. I think Boston comics destroy, and it's a really great place to learn comedy.
Okay.
And it's weird because my pacing is not typical of a Boston comic, probably because I'm actually from New York. But it's a good place to learn comedy. I don't know if it's hard to get in. I think New York is harder, but I think Boston is a better training ground. And like Patrice O'Neill, who's from Boston, Bill Burr, Dane Cook, Gary Goldman, Bobby Kelly. These are the guys. They like me.
I forget that Bobby Kelly started in Boston.
Me and Gary were in the same class. Those guys were a little bit ahead of us, and those guys went to New York and it was child's play. When they got to New York, it was like it was a seismic boom because they were in Boston. They were killing so hard.
Yeah.
Under the guys above us, the old school guys like Frank Santorelli, Kevin Knox, God rest his soul, and Don Gavin and Steve Sweeney. These guys destroy. And
What do you think it is?
it's Boston it's repressed. The whole
It's an angry place.
Everyone's funny. So if you're going to be a comic, you have to be that much funnier because everyone's funny. The cab driver is funny. The guy at 7-Eleven is funny. Everyone is hysterical. Everyone is cynical as fuck.
Yeah.
Sarcastic as fuck. So you have to
just busting balls constantly
busting balls. So if you're going to be like the guy they go to see, what do you got to? You better
be funnier than my next door neighbor Larry,
right?
Because he just fucking made fun of my fat wife the other day, and it made me laugh my ass off.
Well, so then this is interesting to me then, but you didn't adapt to that style, yet you succeeded in there. So why do you think that was?
I think it's the difference, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. It's sort of like
no, not from the audience standpoint, but I mean, as you know,
comics.
a lot of comics usually have to rise you up, right? They finally kind of go, all right, you're in. We'll let you go. We'll let you pass.
Well, so I probably wasn't conscious of it, but just being different. Mm-hmm. So if they were talking fast, I was talking slow. But if I could make the jokes hit hard enough, then I had my thing. Also I was back then I was really good friends with Patrice, so I'm sure he had an impact on me that I wasn't quite aware of at the time. Yeah.
And so how long did you stay in Boston before you're like, all right, I guess I got to go to New York? Or is that kind of what ends up happening? You kind of have to, you feel like I got to graduate and I got to go.
I was there a weekend and then I just took off for New York.
That's what happens. I'm from New York, so I'm starting to dip down into New York. Back then I got an 800 pager number.
Yes.
So I told 2 or 3 clubs in New York that I lived in New York. And when I was still living in Boston, still working, and they would page me like that the day of or the day before. And I would drive from Boston to New York, which is like 4 hours, and just do the set. And then
when you say do the set, how much time?
10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Do the set, and then either drive right back to Boston. So like get off stage at like 9, 10, drive back to Boston.
Oh, man.
And go to work the next day. Or go to my mom's place in New York and get up at like 4 a.m. and drive straight to work. To get to work at like 8 and be at my desk 8 or 9.
I get it, man. I used to do it when I first lived out here. I lived in San Diego, and I would get a gig up here in Los Angeles, and there was a lot of times where it's like it's 3:00 in the morning, and you're like, do I stay here? Do I go? Like you drive a lot of time is spent getting to and from a gig for 7 to 10 to 15 minutes.
That's the work.
You could put anywhere from 3 to 8 hours.
Yeah.
Just to get those 10
and
to 15
even in
minutes.
Boston, I used to go to New Hampshire on Tuesday nights to do like a 5 or 10 minute set. And that was like an hour and a half. So it was like a lot of, And so I think what happens is you have to time it just so, right? Because if you do that and you get it to a certain point, and then you come to LA or then you go to New York and you have to do it again, that's where some guys say, fuck that, I'm not doing all of that again.
Yeah.
So you have to time it just so. So you have to have enough in a tank to pay a little bit more dues.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
that's a good point, because you're right. Once you go somewhere like in New York or LA, you kind of, unless you've already blown up or already have a TV show, you have to kind of start, towards the bottom.
And I didn't come here until I did Conan. I had a Conan under my belt, and I still couldn't get in with every club.
Right.
Even with the Conan. In New York, a Conan has more weight, but
okay.
I was here doing coffee shops. So it was like,
Yeah. And you were not expecting that. You're like, I did fucking Conan, everybody. Why am I
I wasn't, but I didn't. I adjusted pretty quick. I was like,
How
I guess that's what it is.
And this started your love of coffee shops.
Yes.
Bringing it back around, everybody.
How long did you do comedy in New York before you came on to Los Angeles?
Well, I really didn't. Like, so,
Oh, okay.
I was an open micer in New York. Then I moved to Boston, got my legs, and then I was planning to move back to New York, and I
Okay.
moved here instead.
I accidentally
Oh, okay.
drove. I
All
took a right turn on my way down.
Right.
Right?
So you only ever just dabbled in New York, per se.
Yeah, like I'm, like I never got in with the Cellar. I'm in with Gotham.
But this is all post now. This is after you.
Yeah,
you've-
right.
You've done
Prior
your-
to that, I was doing. It doesn't exist anymore. I was doing the Boston Comedy Club in New York. It was very confusing.
That's where I think I met you.
That could be. Yeah,
I think so.
I can see that. Yeah,
I literally. Do you remember Ramsey Moore?
absolutely. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
he passed away.
Yeah,
right?
he did. He passed
Yeah.
away last year, unfortunately. But he came on Punked once, and he was always on the show. But one of his first times on the show, he's like, "Hey, aren't you a comic too?" And I go, "Yeah, oh yeah, you do stand up." He's like, "Yeah, I run this room at the Knitting Factory." So I started going down there, and he's like, one day I mentioned like, "Man, I'd love to get out to New York." He's like, "Oh, you've never done comedy in New York?" I was like, "No," and he's like, "Oh, okay," and he calls Wayne Rada, who then like. I understand.
Oh, I
Wayne
remember
is,
Wayne. Yeah.
Wayne is like liked by some people, disliked by other people. He's up and down, but he just goes. He gets a hold of me. He's like, "Yeah, if you're ever in New York, Ramsey says you're funny. Call me. I'll put you on at the Boston Comedy Club." I was like, "Okay, well, I'm coming out to New York," and I flew myself out there. And I
wow,
and
that's crazy.
I flew
What we
myself out
do,
there. Yeah,
yeah.
I stayed at a hotel. Like near Central Park, which is not near the Boston.
Nowhere near.
I had no idea where I was.
Right.
I maneuvered New York all by myself to get to the Boston Comedy Club. This girl I went to college with was in the back, and Jay Davis was the only other person in the room I recognized.
Wow.
Because he was out there from out of town. And the guy goes, "Hey, I'm going to put you on after Jay Davis." I go, "Okay, great." And Jay had one of the better sets I've ever seen Jay have. And I was like, "Oh, good, cool." And then I went on, and I, for some reason, changed a few jokes around because I thought, different audience, it's not L.A.
Right.
And I think that hurt me a little, but I think all in all, it was an okay set.
Oh, cool.
And the guy was like, "Yeah, dude, that was good. Just try to loosen up a little more and come back, do the middle show, and then do the late show." So I literally went around the corner, did another show, came back, did a show.
Oh, nice,
I did
nice.
5 shows in one night and was like, well, if this is New York, I like it. But I do feel like Boston Comedy Club was the first place that I saw you or met you.
Yeah, that was. It was called the Boston Comedy Club because Barry Katz used to own it.
Nice.
And he's from Boston, and when he moved to New York, it was like a club for Boston comics to go and work out. That was the theory, at least.
Right.
It turned into something else, but
It became the Eastville Comedy Club eventually.
yeah, it became the Eastville Comedy Club. So yeah, I've never lived in New York. I've gone back a lot. I was dating a girl a while, and I would go a few weeks at a pop. So I kind of missed that experience. I do think that was like my next thing was to go to New York, which I still think I might have to do, and just get up like 20 times a week.
Yeah.
I mean, I do as much as I can here, but
But you spent,
You
in your early years, you obviously would travel to Manhattan, so you were
Yeah, I would
familiar
go
with
there
the
a lot,
city and
yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff. But from
Absolutely.
a professional standpoint, it was not really your playground.
no, it was just where I started, and then Boston is where I, fertilized it. And
So the Conan thing,
yes,
that was your first TV, something that happened to you from a TV related standpoint.
Yeah.
How did that all come about, and what was that like? Was it something? Was there an expectation of yours of like, I got to get on one of these TV shows, or did it just kind of happen?
It just kind of happened, And I look back at the set, and I think it went well. But I looked at the set recently, and I was like, oh, that was tough. It was fine, but it was tough to watch. What happened was I did the Chicago Comedy Festival. This is going a while back, and it was going well. I had one really bad set at the Chicago Comedy Festival. I just was nervous. It was this black room, Chicago, and like Chicago audiences are great, But
I was gonna say, I bet you do very well in Chicago.
but there's this little thing with the black. With Chicago and New York already there's like a thing, and
do we look like we would know? No, we have no idea.
well, no, Chicago's the second city, so
Yeah. Oh, they
I
have a
think-
thing against each other. Yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
like
I gotcha.
it's not as bad as New York and Boston, but it's a little thing. And,
Yeah.
and then black people from Chicago, they're like they have that perfect mix of being metropolitan, but also having that country, that southern sensibility. Whereas New York, we lost it. Like we're just
The southern sensibility is gone because
we're kind of like
too far up.
we're like Caribbean and regular black with like Latin stuff mixed in, and we still have like the connection, but we're not as southern. It's you don't hear it in our speaking, and
You're
all that
more
kind of stuff.
stabby and less have some lemonade.
Right, exactly. We're more like yo son, as opposed to y'all come back now. And so
Perfect.
I have a bad set, whatever. That set ends with me going fuck y'all, right? And I drop the mic, and then the guy
Wait,
hosting.
before that, 99.9% clean. You drop the mic with a fuck y'all.
Yeah, it was going bad, right? So, and
I wait for the swear word of my closer
and then
when I tell everyone to stick it.
And I remember the guy hosting, I think his name is George Wilborn, great comic. He had to clean it up, and he's making fun of me, and I'm leaving. I'm all upset. And then I had another show though, so then I go to Zany's, and I do a show.
Same day.
Same
night.
like a half hour later.
Half hour later.
I do really well at Zany's. Some guy comes up to me who I don't even know. I can't even remember who it was. He's like, I just saw you fucking at that other place. He's like, this was great. Now I get it. You know what I mean? Anyway, the next day, 2 days later, I'm back in Boston for these Conan auditions. That it's interesting now. I'm realizing something because it was at this place called the Hong Kong, the Comedy Studio, which is like the alt scene in Boston, and I'm just now realizing that the alt scene the seeds were being planted right then, and I should have stayed really close to the alt scene because I had friends in that scene. I was cool with them. I'm just now realizing that even then the industry had started to go to the alt scene to get talent. So I'm about to go on. Everyone's nervous. Everyone's taking this stupid advice. I forget who gave it to us. Stuff like when you get on stage for the Conan people. Just go right into your set. They don't like it when you say, hey, how's it going? Like dumb stuff like that. Like, if you need to say, how's it going, say, how's it going. But how I was so relaxed is literally like 5-10 minutes before my set, a guy walks up to me. He's the booker from Conan. And he says, I saw you in Chicago last night. You were great. And he just was like, you were great. And like this, almost like insinuating this was a formality.
Yeah,
Right.
Sorry,
This is the same
I just got
guy
to bring
that
you
said,
in to do this.
This is the guy that saw you.
No, not that guy. Not that guy.
Okay.
He just saw me at Zany's.
He saw you at the good
a
set.
few nights before,
Okay.
yeah, and he was like, "You were great," and I felt bad because everyone's so nervous. My comedy friends, and I'm like,
I don't know if you guys heard, but I was great in Chicago the
I
other
got
night.
this,
so.
yeah. And so then I do really well, and then I get a call at work. I was working at a company called, they were called Digital. They may have changed their name at that point. Digital became Compact. So I was either working at the time for Digital, Compact, or like Staples corporate office. But I was doing Y2K stuff. So I was literally just going through code and making the two digits, 4 digits, that kind of stuff.
You were trying to stop the world from collapsing.
Right.
Very important stuff.
And so I get a call at work, from the Conan people. They were like, "Oh, you got a date?" And I'm like, "Oh, thank you." And I hang up the phone, and I'm very excited, and pump my fist, and that's it. Yeah.
Now, TV is obviously a lot different when you first take the stage for television,
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So,
and the one thing about Conan thing is, I should say, there was a little detour. Like I'm in Boston at that time, but I had just moved back to Boston from LA.
Oh, okay.
So I actually moved to LA. It was only for 6 months. I went to grad school.
so you visited.
Yeah, I was going to grad school at USC.
Okay.
I was going to get an MBA, and I was still doing comedy. Grad school is not that tough, but it's kind of tough. Like everyone there was really smart, and
You got to want to learn when you go to grad school.
Yeah, and the
There's
test
no fucking around.
Well, the tests are really hard. It's like it's not like they all look like they're the right answer. Like when you're an undergrad, it's like
you could argue that any of these are
it's
correct.
like it's like the choices are like cheese, green, 8, and fan, and you're looking for a number. You go, oh, it must be 8.
Yeah.
But in grad school, they all look like the right answer. But I was doing all right. But I left grad school because this girl I was dating in Boston, maybe she had her own reasons. She was like, "What are you doing? You a comedian or what are you doing?" I was like, "You're right." So I left grad school. I had a job.
And you left grad school and
left
her?
grad school.
And her?
No, I went back
You're
to be
right.
with her in
I'm
Boston.
outta here.
No, I went back to be with her in Boston. I had a job in the Bay Area lined up. So my life could have been any.
Yeah.
I had a job lined up in the Bay Area to do project development. But at the same time, so I go to the Bay Area. Am I doing comedy or am I doing project development? But who knows? I could have hooked up with like Zuckerberg. I don't know. I don't like to think about it. But
Right.
I go back to Boston, and my goal was I need to get on TV before the people I was in school with graduate and get their MBA. And
That's a good goal.
Yeah.
To make them see like, yeah, no, I was correct when I.
So yeah, my Conan was about like a month after they graduated. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Those fucking book learners. You showed them.
Just so the listeners understand, that's not normally how it works. You don't go. You don't have it planned to
Yeah,
to get
I'm
going to
do Conan next month, and then you get to do Conan next
television
month.
doesn't really go along with your plans per se. You
Not
just
at all.
happen to.
But I'm constantly making those kind of plans.
But that's okay,
And
too,
I don't
to
get
do
discouraged.
that.
I just keep making them.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I think the more optimistic and positive you are, and goal oriented you can be in this city, the better off you'll feel. Anyway,
I bought a suit in where was I? Korea. I got a suit made, custom made. It was me. I was with Burton and Jimmy Schubert, right? We all got suits, and my name is inside the suit, and I'm like, this is my Letterman suit. I won't wear the suit until I do Letterman. I've never done Letterman. I missed that window, but the suit. I get back home. The suit fits okay. It's my Letterman suit. I'm waiting and waiting. Then I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to do Letterman. My little brother has a med school interview, and he needs a suit, and I give him my Letterman suit, and he wears that to his med school interview. He gets into med school, and I feel good because the suit.
It's a med school suit.
It became the med school suit. Yeah,
dude, that's amazing. I know we're probably
No, we're fine.
Okay, cool.
So I'm always intrigued by people's their first experiences. So your first experience in television. I mean, yeah, you get it, but this is not a world you're in. So walking into okay, now it's time to go on TV.
Yeah,
it's not like it's time for another set at a comedy club.
It's
right?
tough. Yeah, it's. But the band was laughing, so that helped. I got bumped my first time.
Okay, so you're sitting in the back. Now, did you get bumped previous, or did you actually have to go, sit through it, assume you're going up, and then they eventually come in and go, you know what, you're not going up?
Yeah, like I was there, my family was there, and it was. I saw this. I saw him recently. I forgot to mention it to him. I can't believe I don't know why I forgot this, but Adam Sandler was on, and Vince McMahon, and they just both went long, and then they came to me and they're like, "You got bumped." But they sent me and my family to Ruby Foo's, which is a really nice Chinese restaurant. At the time, I was getting into Chinese food big time and Thai food and everything. My siblings, they didn't get it quite. So we went there and they ordered like chicken wings, some garbage. And I ordered some really good
spring
food.
rolls.
And they said it was me, my English teacher from high school, who I'm still really good friends with, her husband and my family. And because none of us are drinkers, they were so stoked. Like when they got the bill, they actually called me. They were like, we sent you all out to eat, and it was nothing. I was like, oh yeah, well we ate.
Alcohol is 90% of every bill.
Right.
If you don't drink, the bill is like $14.
They were so happy. It was like,
who knew that would actually trigger them to be like to actually?
We got to have Dwayne back again because if we bump him, it only costs us $10.50.
Right.
To send 40 of his family members out to eat.
So how long between the bump and getting back on?
About 3 weeks.
Okay,
but
is that nerve-wracking?
Yes, I feel like I would just be sweating that entire 3 weeks.
Nerve-wracking, but
did you ever at one point go, maybe I'll never get on because this is my shot?
Never. But my mom, it made me think I should be more like my mom, and which I am naturally, and I still struggle with that today because my mom is the type to tell nobody anything. She tells you nothing. Because she's afraid some people are wishing against her, which I think is a real thing, right?
It is.
So you tell 1,000 people I'm going to be on Conan, and 800 are happy, and 200 are like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
And then you get bumped, and you're like, I wonder if those 200 people were praying every day that I got bumped. So now you're like, I'm not telling anyone anything.
It airs.
But then no one knows anything, and you got stuff going on.
That dude, we talk about this a lot on the show, is like the fine line of self-promotion and sounding like a fucking bragging asshole.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's a fine line because, again, you do have stuff going on, and there are people that follow you online, social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, that do give a shit. But you're right. Like, I have 5,000 friends. You think all 5,000 of those people are like, God, John, we want you to succeed. Right. No, there are some that are like, I fucking hated you in high school, and I fucking hate you even more
I'm
now.
only following you to watch you fail.
Cannot wait till you implode. Oh, you didn't get Last Comic Standing? Ha ha, fuck you.
Right. And I saw Method Man on, what show was it? It was some talk show. It was like,
I like Method Man.
Jimmy Kimmel or something with the other Wu-Tang members. It was like 4 or 5 Wu-Tang members and Method Man. And whoever the host was, they were like, so Meth, now you've got a new show coming out with Redman this year, right? And the other Wu-Tang members, they turned to Meth. They were like, what? He was like, oh yeah, I didn't tell you guys yet. And I was like, well, if Meth isn't telling the other Wu-Tang members.
Yeah, dude. I don't need to be telling anybody on Facebook anything.
Right.
Do you feel like this is that because you went through the dry run of Conan when you got back the second time, it was more familiar to you? So you're like, oh,
yeah,
I know all this part of the process leading up to this part.
It definitely helped.
Did it make you kind of feel like, all right, I'm
familiar with the crew,
the green room,
definitely.
all the other crazy.
Absolutely. I was still a little nervous on stage, and I never got a chance to walk out there. And I still had nerves, but it helped a lot. And I went second. So, like, all my Conans have been great because they haven't really sweated. They've never sweat me on time. It's always been like, if it's 5-ish.
Oh, wow.
They've been like, okay, that's good.
Because usually they want like 4.5, right?
Yeah. They've been, and I went second on, so comics always, 80-90% of the time you go last. But going second is kind of cool because it was almost like you are definitely not getting bumped this time.
Yeah,
that's you're gonna go
exactly.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's the old. They didn't run up a huge tab over at Ruby Tuesdays or whatever.
Right.
Now I want to bring up something about because obviously the way I met you was at a lot of not great rooms.
Yes,
so
yes.
You going back to the earning the stripes thing. I think one of the things that speaks volumes about who you are is the fact that you roll with it. Like you never get overly arrogant about the fact like I don't belong there. And you know what I'm talking about. There's some people that are either saying flat out, no, I'm not going to do that one. Or they come to the room and they treat everybody like crap because they believe that they're above the place that they are in that moment.
Exactly.
And then just everybody else that's there is like, so are you just saying that we're all not worthy of whatever element that you're in? But you've always kind of taken everything, every step along the way, no matter how much more successful you've been in comedy, you've always stayed the same person. Where does that grounding come from with you?
Well, a few things. I think it's one. I think I'm funny. And I know I'm a pretty good writer and all of that stuff. But like, there's just something about those family members that are funnier than you. That like, you just feel like I would never say I'm a fraud. Like I think I earned things and all that. But you still have that little bit of a like maybe I am a fraud just because.
What if people figure me out?
I know people funnier than me. I know there's always someone better. So I think that kind of helps a lot. And also, I'm from a place where like when all the smoke clears, I know I seem like a nice guy, but when all the smoke clears, it's like, can you beat my ass fighting? That's all that matters. So like, I can big time you, but if I can't beat your ass, what's the point?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So that's where I come from. Like. I think you have to respect everyone as a man. And that's where, like, I love New York comics, but they get a little weird with that, like, hierarchy and just the belief. And all comics, but you see where it's like, oh, don't talk to that guy. I don't talk to... And I get in trouble because sometimes I forge friendships. Maybe I shouldn't. But I've never been the type of guy that wanted it to be based on comedy, only because comedy is only half the story. Like, you're a man or a woman. I'm a man or a woman. So we've got to respect each other just on that. And so I think that's why I don't have that attitude because I think L.A. and comedy in general, it's not a place where I think people underestimate where it could go. And I don't think it's common for people to fight, but I just always think it could go there. So that helps me just treat everyone with respect,
Well, I mean, it's also, listen, at any given night, there's a lot of waiting around.
Yeah,
right? There's a lot of just sitting around. You can either get inside your own head or now smartphones because that's pretty much whatever. It's so funny to see comics now.
Yeah.
Like the up-and-coming comics.
Started with Drake. Remember you see Drake at radio stations looking at his BlackBerry doing his little freestyles and yeah.
Well, no, I'm talking about like behind like I talked about this a couple weeks ago in the fact that I see the up-and-coming comics. They a lot of them, their faces when they're not on stage are buried in their smartphones. Like the communication is not as the way it was. We only had our notebooks. Like that's it. We didn't have anything else.
And all that was in that notebook was your
so
material.
Long.
Yeah. So you look at that, and then you're forced
to talk. You weren't on Facebook the whole time, and then I'm up next. Okay, and you put Facebook down for a sec, go on stage, and then get back on Twitter the minute you're off.
And I tell you, if you're in a place where you are the big dog all the time, then you have to adjust that too. You have to be in various situations where maybe you're the big dog, maybe you're the little dog, and I think that's where the growth comes in. And I think I'm trying to adjust that now. I have been in too many situations where I look around and like I'm the most senior person. You don't want that to happen anyway. That's why it's good going to like the Comedy Magic. You're at the Comedy Magic Club. You're in the green room and like George Wallace is there.
Yeah.
Gary Shandling walks in. And
you're like, oh, okay, all right, I got it.
Yeah, you're like, well,
I'm a young buck.
Yeah, right. I can learn.
I can
from
do
these
10
guys.
push-ups.
Right.
Where's your favorite place to perform in town?
Well, I think Comedy Magic is my favorite place to hang out because of the green room, because of the food is great, and the guys like Gary Shandling or Adam
Yeah.
Sandler might stop
People
by.
that stop in there. It's pretty
And,
fantastic.
So
Yeah,
do you still like that
that's where I
part of
met
the comedy
Leno.
environment? Do you still get excited when like people that you are familiar with
Right,
are
right.
around? Does that still matter to you?
Yeah. Well, it's guys you don't get to see these guys because you get to a point where like John and you guys are doing the role, right, Bryan, and you don't see guys that you came up with anymore. So now when you go to like an in town show, you get to see them,
Yeah.
and you get to connect with them. So I like that aspect of it a lot actually, and I like hanging with comics. I don't really like, and I don't really protest against it. I don't like young comics, and we were all this at some point, but I don't. I'd rather not be around young comics who know nothing but think they know everything. That's the one formula I don't.
Or they're always on.
Or they're always on. Oh yeah,
That's a bit much.
Yeah, that's a bit
And I
much.
think that goes for, I know older comics that are like that too.
Oh, completely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're just like, oh, you're still doing your set, huh? All right. Well, we've been out on the patio for a good hour and a half now, but
Right.
yes,
And
this has been entertaining.
And the great thing is that you still laugh on a patio. It's just a different type of.
Oh no, yeah, but
laughter.
you're laughing with your friends and
Yeah,
other people,
yeah.
and you're sharing stories that really, I mean, when you're in any field, any kind of profession, it's like firemen can tell fireman stories to other firemen because other firemen will get it.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
Like they'll understand whatever the situation is. Whereas comics can have those conversations that they can't go home for Thanksgiving and tell their aunt about, or because their
Oh,
aunt's not going to
God,
fucking
yeah.
understand. They're just going to be like,
Exactly.
"What? I don't understand. How come you're not in a movie yet? Have you thought about getting on TV?" And you're like, "Oh my God, I'll kill everybody here."
Yeah.
How long-
My mom keeps telling me to just connect with Tyler Perry. That's her whole. Every time I talk, you need to get with Tyler Perry.
Is your mom
thank
serious?
you.
What?
No, she's so serious.
You don't need that at all, dude. What do you? I mean,
But she has a point. He's got long paper. You know what I mean?
he's
But-
built an empire, but in a
Yeah, yeah.
factory in Atlanta. I mean, are any of those things appealing to you? It's like
Just
you're like, money is
Right,
appealing.
right. Money's
I like
appealing,
money. Fame is good.
How long you been doing stand up now?
it's like, man, I think it's 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And when did you
But
start?
full time, like 15, 16, maybe 14, something like that. Yeah.
And when did you start saying I want to branch out? I want to start writing. I want to write scripts. I want to start
Well,
doing other things.
Even before I came to LA, but definitely when I came to LA. But because before I came to LA, I always had a full time job. So, but even when I was in Boston with my full time job, I started taking acting classes. So I was trying to, dabble a little bit. I remember that time being so hectic. Like I remember having a girlfriend, working out, taking acting classes. The problem is we didn't have the same gym, and we had different acting classes too.
So you never saw her.
Yeah, we didn't see her, and it didn't work for a lot of reasons. But I remember, I never could just do a load of laundry. I remember, I would always, literally do my laundry, and it would be in the machine all day while I was at work. And not my own, it was a group laundry.
So everyone's like, when is this fucking asshole going to move his clothes to the dryer?
Right,
Fuck.
exactly. So
I would have hated to live next to you.
it was a hectic time. But yeah, I started to branch out. Bobby Kelly actually is the one who I went with his acting teacher. That was my first real acting. Before that, I looked in a phone book, and
A phone book. You hear that, kids?
and I would go, yeah. I would go take acting classes with these guys. I think they were a gay couple, two dudes, and I would just go to their house with other people.
Yeah.
And
Today we're going to act like we're not wearing shirts. All right.
I don't even know if they're alive anymore, but that's what started. And I wish I had video of that because I'm sure I was
Awesome.
so bad. I felt like it was horrible. It was like
You're like, I am not good at this.
completely horrible. So then I went with a guy named Peter Kelly, who I know through Bobby Kelly, who's a really good actor. Bobby Kelly's a really good actor.
They're not related, are they?
No, not at all. They're not related. But that kind of. So I was planting the seeds, and I wish. My only wish is that I did even more back then. But
okay.
But I realized that I wasn't lazy. I just didn't have a lot of time.
Do you, having done it so long,
Yes.
the road? Has it become a grind, or do you still enjoy it? Are you more selective? Like, how is the road to you now? At this,
I've never
at this
burnt
point?
out. I've never burnt out because I don't do the road quite as much as other people.
And when you do it, you don't get blackout drunk. You don't fucking spend a weekend and all your paychecks on cocaine. And
No, I don't do any of those things.
Yeah.
And I really just go to Starbucks and work out. So it's just I'm just doing what I always do in a different place.
Okay.
Kinda.
he leaves his laundry in for the whole weekend at that point.
So wherever you're at, the laundry sits there. Yeah.
And I do a lot of international stuff, which is still fun for me.
Okay.
Going
Yeah, weren't you just overseas with Schubert?
Yeah, no, that was a while ago, but I was just in Amsterdam.
Oh, cool.
Amsterdam and Rotterdam.
How was
and
that?
Belgium. It was great.
And you don't smoke pot, huh?
No.
Oh.
No. But
I feel like that's just I mean, it's not a wasted trip because I'm sure you had fun and did a lot of stuff besides go to the red light district and get high. But
yeah. Well, my thing is, a lot of people listen to podcasts now, so I can't really,
Oh no, yeah, that's fine.
But but I've grown as a person because, like, now I don't judge a place by if I meet a lady. Like 10 years ago, if you said, "Oh, how was Paris?" and I was like, "Oh, Paris is great." That only meant I met a girl in Paris. That's all.
Right. It wasn't like I went to the Louvre. And
I experienced things.
Yeah.
How was Paris? Paris sucks. That means I didn't meet a girl in
Yeah,
Paris.
Paris is a bunch of dykes. Wait, what?
Now Toledo, on the other hand, Toledo was awesome.
Jesus, yeah, guys, Boise, Idaho. Let me tell you what.
So I'm out of that now. So now, if you ask me how a place is, I'm judging it based on the place actually, and not what happened.
Who knew you could travel the world and experience things?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Outside of, is there a woman over there?
Yeah,
I probably should talk to her.
but
Which
that's
is not saying you should stop doing that.
no. But also at
But-
the same time, like that because that was never my style. My style because it wouldn't work. I couldn't go meet people because I was too busy. Like, what? We can get drunk in the town square and like,
Right.
You know what I mean? And just
Does
like,
every town have a square?
It's a square.
Okay.
Like some of them are octagonic.
especially in Europe.
Tell me
Yeah,
how
there's
to
a lot
go.
of
Yeah,
town
my
squares.
first night in London, I fell asleep on the Piccadilly Circus.
Oh, that's awesome,
The fountain.
dude.
I just passed out on the steps.
is awesome.
And they're like, "Dude, you got to go." And I was like,
Impossible.
stumbled off into the night. When I realized you could buy a bottle of wine and sit out in public with it,
Yeah.
and a restaurant had to uncork it for you, I was like, "Well, we're gonna get some bottles."
They
of
had
wine.
to. You have to.
Well, I was like, "I need a cork." Like, just yell at people.
In England, they go so hard. They laugh at us because we have a 2-drink minimum.
They've
They
never.
don't
don't
even. They can't even comprehend it. Like what does that even mean?
Why
Like,
would you do that? Why would
of
you
course
have
you're
any
gonna buy
drinks?
2 drinks.
Yeah. Why would you? If you're not going to be able to have more than 2, why have any?
Yeah.
Translation.
We're alcoholics.
No,
They are.
translation in London. You don't have to change too much for the audiences over there, right? That's always a fear when you.
No, you got to sometimes change your pacing, but they get it. They get it.
It's more connected. The world's more connected now, right?
Yeah,
That's one
definitely,
of the things.
definitely. But London is pretty cosmopolitan. But England, you find yourself in 2 types of shows.
Yeah.
A really hip show where you don't want to. You want your laughs per minute to be lower, actually, because if you go for it, they'll be like, "Oh, this guy's trying too hard." You want to just be cool, or really shows that we would think of as hacking. You got to really just go for it.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Oh, you're from the
extreme.
town over? I'll speak slower. Wah, wah. You
Yeah.
got to do all that kind
And
of
it's not like here we get in a plane, we fly 4 hours, and we're like, okay, we're in Middle America, let's slow down.
Things are different.
There, you get on a train, you go an
Half
hour,
hour.
and it's completely different.
We
Yeah.
all live on farms and have to have toothpaste.
Where was the hardest place overseas for you to adapt? That you were like, I got to adapt a lot here. You're doing mostly expat stuff, obviously, right? Wherever
Mostly
you are,
expats, yeah. I don't know. I think I've had fun everywhere.
Okay.
I've had fun. I think parts of England can. I forget which towns, but parts of England can be tough. Yeah.
It's because it keeps changing your mindset because you assume you're in one area and or one place, if you will, in general, and you're like, well, how
Yeah,
much different
yeah.
could it be from place
Plus,
to
if
place?
there's a hen party, which is a bachelorette party,
Ooh.
they can get crazy.
So it's
say-
no
you
different
say-
than over here.
yeah.
yeah,
A hen party. I like that. I'm going to start using
They call
that.
them hen parties. Some
We got
places
12
don't
hen
have
parties in there. Like, well, I'm canceling the show. Goodbye.
So tell me about this. You were talking before the show movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Now tell me. So this is something that you created. Is this something that you wrote?
Yes,
you produced?
yes.
You're starring in.
It's
What is
so
this?
crazy? In our business, like you write all these things, you do things, and you never know which one is going to become a thing.
Yep.
Right. And so this has become a thing. The guy I write with named Koji Sakai, he's super prolific. He's actually has, I think, 4 movies on Netflix that he
Okay.
wrote.
Oh, wow.
On his own.
Good for him.
He's a machine. He's like we're writing a book now, and like I write a chapter, he writes a chapter, and like literally I give him my chapter, and like as my hand is coming back,
He's got
giving me-
his.
yeah, it's
And Sam, Jesus.
right. So he had an idea to produce a movie, and it's weird because I like the story and everything, but in all honesty, the movie came out of we had some restraints, and from those restraints, we created a story that would fit into those. So the restraint was, let's make a movie for 5Gs.
Okay.
Like, well, how do you do that? And he's like, well, here's how my friend did it. It has to be in one location,
Yeah.
and you have to be off book for the whole movie. We ended up not doing that, but initially it was going to be one location, and I was going to just do it like a play with 3 camera setups, the whole thing. And I was down for that, but we ended up getting more than $5,000,
And you're happy with that, right?
I am.
Because
I'm very happy with
I'm
that.
thinking
Yeah, yeah.
not
I'm
one
very happy with
location.
that.
I'm thinking you got a better movie out of.
I would never hear him. I'm
doing
really
a-
upset. They gave us a lot more money.
But that
than
you
that.
didn't have to do this on off book 3 camera
No,
on
that
a
was-
stage.
It was, honestly, like I was looking forward to it to have the story, but it would have been so incredibly hard to do
Yeah.
that. So we ended up getting more money. It's still 80% one location,
Right.
But we get out of that location a few times, and we have a trick. We have a little documentary thing. So we get out of the room. I'm locked in a room. It's called Dying to Kill.
Okay.
It's a play on. I play a comedian who's pretty hacky at this point in his life. So
on
hacky,
the verge of trying new material, but too afraid.
yeah, too afraid
to make
and,
that jump.
And actually, when you meet me, John is in the audience. John is in the movie, and he's the heckler who's like had enough of my hacky dick jokes, and he heckles me, and that goes viral because we get into a fight. We actually took out the N-word. You know that?
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God, dude. He called me up. He's like, hey, man, I don't know how you feel about this, but I wrote this movie and we're going to make it. And I got a part in it that you'd be perfect for. And I was like, oh, dude, of course. Anything for you. Send it over. He sends me the script. He's like, you're like in the first scene, you're the heckler. And the first thing this guy does is scream the N-word at him. And I'm like, oh, you wrote a part, you thought of me, huh? Thanks, buddy. And the whole time, like, there's other black people there. And I know we're acting. But it is just such an uncomfortable word. You know what I mean? So I was
Yeah.
like, I'm like telling the audience, I'm like, look, guys, just so you know, I'm friends with Dwayne. I know I look like I live on a farm and fucking punch anybody who might be brown skinned. But the thing is, it's not me. So,
And I felt bad for that because we put it in thinking because basically he heckles me, right? And I'm at my low point creatively, and when he heckles me, he gets the best of me. I attack him. It goes viral, and now it's my opportunity to like take this moment of attention and really come back with better material. And instead of doing that, I do the same hacky stuff. So then a crazy fan who we don't know, it might be John, it might be someone, kidnaps me.
Okay.
I wake up in a room chained, and it's like, you have 4 chances to make me laugh, or each time someone else you love is going to get hurt or killed.
kind of like Saw meets.
Saw meets Misery meets the King of Comedy.
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
So and the thing is, when we wanted to motivate me jumping into the crowd, that's why we had John say the N-word. But when we got into when we started editing it, we realized, well, if he says the N-word, then I have justification.
Oh, yeah, dude. Everyone
Yeah.
in the crowd should turn around and start
Right.
beating on me.
But what we want is we don't want that. We want you, John, as the heckler, to be right, to be 100% right, and that's why I jump into the audience, is because
Great.
he's right. I'm up here doing dick jokes. My character, he's hacky, and
You got it.
this guy's calling me out on it, and fuck him for calling me out, and that's why I jump into the crowd. So, I never really, I don't know who wrote the N-word, and I don't think it was me. Everything I do,
What if you found out I improvised that and was like, oh, I thought it was in the script, and they were like, no, dude, no, that's nowhere in the script.
No, we put it in, but I don't think I put it in, but I'm not sure. Like when I write things, I try to pretty quickly forget who wrote what.
Okay.
Because it's like a team effort,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But yeah, we decided we didn't need it, so.
But that's great, and I like that you found that in the edit where you were like, we want the guy to be right, and we want you to be. Yeah, I mean that to me that's great.
Yeah,
and plus I don't look like a huge giant
And so,
fucking racist on camera.
it's like, we call it a comedy horror, but it's more like a comedy suspense.
Is this your first full production that you've done for yourself?
Yeah, it is. And
Feature length, obviously.
feature length, yeah. And we thought we were going to come under time, but we're good with the time, and now we're going out to festivals, and We'll see.
So
And
it's edited and pretty much done. You got the music in
it's
and everything.
picture locked. The score is being done now.
That's
It's a lot of work to make a movie, isn't it?
It is so much work.
Versus just writing it, getting
is
someone
so
else,
much work.
or
It is
just
so much work.
acting,
Yeah.
letting everybody else
Especially,
run
it's more work if you don't have a shitload of money too.
Right.
Because you just have to think about everything.
And you're doing more.
Yeah,
If you had a shitload of money, you'd focus on acting, and you'd let somebody hire a production crew, and then
Right.
you wouldn't have to go, "What do you mean we're out of napkins?" and like, run around and fucking get paper towels for people. It's like,
and the team, my team, they're so great. They allowed me to sort of get to a point where once we were started the camera rolling, I could only focus on acting, and the amount of work after the fact is crazy.
Yes, and that's the boring work. That's really boring.
And,
tedious,
the director Ray Lai, who it's interesting because you picked the director, me and Koji. It was our plan. We put in a little money. We got more money. I said, let's do it with this guy Ray. Because I did something else with Ray, and he made me look good. So I'm like, well, Ray made me look good before.
Let's have him do it
Maybe
again.
he'll make me look good again. And it's just such a trusting relationship because once you pick him, it's his movie. So you're picking him, but it's his movie.
He takes it over.
It's 100% his movie,
Yeah.
and he's done a great job. And I just hope that I gave him what he needed, and I was,
well, that's
Yeah.
where the trust is, that you now have a director, so he's directing you. So when he says, "Okay, we got it," you've got to assume or take that.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to be every shot, I'm going to need to see that.
Right,
Nope,
you
we're doing
can't-
it again
yeah.
because then the movie's going to take 10 years.
Exactly,
So it's like
exactly.
sometimes I've seen takes of myself where I'm like, "Oh God, why did they use that take?" But I'm like,
Right.
I can only do what I'm told. I can only act to the best of my ability within a scene.
Oh yeah, and nothing beats doing it. So like, even him telling me, "This is your mindset. Do this, do that." Like, there's some things I just wouldn't have been able to do that I could do right now,
Right.
Because I've seen it,
Right.
and going through the process, and there's some scenes I want back,
Yeah.
but I don't get those scenes back.
you do
and,
not.
But I I take that learning forward.
And so, do you see yourself making a lot more films?
Yeah.
Like, is that now that you've been through the process? If you said
I hope so.
yourself-
I hope so.
Okay,
It's
okay.
weird. It's like I was writing this other movie, and because I've only like co-written movies. I've never written a movie except the first movie I ever wrote in a class. Every other movie I've written with someone. So I was gonna write this movie by myself, and then I'm just busy with a bunch of stuff, and I was like, who am I kidding? So I called Koji to bring him in. Because I write with people so it gets done.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll just keep putting it on the back
Sure.
burner.
If you have someone else going, "Yeah, dude, you got those pages?" You're like, "Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right,
I'll
right.
get them," and then
Exactly.
you find time to get them.
You find time. So Koji took saw the idea that I had. It's a zombie movie, actually, the second thing, and he was like, "Well, let's make it a book." And so now we're almost finished the first draft of our book that we want to someday be a movie.
Sure.
And what's great is that Koji, I made one book already that was just a collection of essays that I self-published. Koji has a book called Romeo and Juliet versus Zombies, and so this was right up his alley. And he had a publisher already, so we kind of he tacked me in on his deal. So now, we have a publisher. It's not like this great advance, but just to know that, okay, I give this book to someone,
And it's gonna be-
and they have to do some stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have to do everything with
Yes.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So-
you have to write it,
I have to write it, right?
and then hope that it sells. But they'll help.
Exactly,
with all that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So hopefully that might become a movie. I have some other. We actually have a lot of stuff. Koji and I have written 4 movies,
Okay.
and a book,
Okay.
and then I've written stuff with other people. So yeah, definitely want to make more movies, and so hopefully this one gets some legs. We sell it, gets into a festival, But it's been super like it's crazy being busy and like waiting for like planting those seeds and waiting for the thing to grow.
Yeah,
it's just
it
like
takes forever, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's-
what we must have been right before because my surprise party was spoiled because of the movie. Like
That's what it was?
Well, yeah.
is that right?
I was turning 40, and my then girlfriend, now fiance, was planning a surprise party for me. And then I had a couple scenes to do in your movie, and she knew that they were happening that week and whatever. And so she planned it for Friday night at 8:30 because I didn't have any shots that night. And my brother was flying in from New York with his wife, and it was all this whole thing, right? So Thursday, so like Wednesday comes up, and she's like, "So Friday you have to do this thing." She's like, "There's no way to shoot it earlier," and I was like, I don't know why you keep asking me about this. I've agreed to do a movie for a friend. He needs me there on these days. I'm not going to be like, hey, I know I said I'd do this, but fuck you, and I need to shoot early. I start getting mad about it. I'm like, you got to stop asking me because I'm not going to do it. What the fuck is so great about Friday night? And Saturday night, meanwhile, I'm set to like co-headline the Improv with Jen Murphy. So I'm like, we'll go out Saturday. It'll be fine. You know what I mean? And then so Wednesday, she's like, I gotta tell you, your brother and his wife are here. We were going to have the surprise party. I got down to your thing on Friday night, and I was out in 5 minutes, and I was back home by 7:30, and she wanted to be at that thing by 8:30, and it all would have worked out perfectly. But she told me because I was convinced that I'd be in Long Beach until like 11.
So what he's saying is put the N-word back in. He has earned his moment to shine as a racist.
It was just so funny because I can't remember who said to me, like, see, I told you I'd have you out in time. I go, in time? You told me I'd be here till like 10:30, 11. Like,
is that right?
And in my head, I was like, I didn't say this on set because I just didn't want to, but I was like, you ruined my surprise party.
The next night was great.
The next night was fantastic. Yeah, it totally would have worked out if I
next night worked.
But you don't know that shit. And when you go to a set, look, I've done commercials where they're like, hey, you have one line, you say that one line, you're done at 8:30 in the morning, they keep you till 7:30 at night. Yeah. And I've done shit where they're like, hey, get dressed, come to set, 20 minutes later, I'm out of my wardrobe and I'm back on this road going home. It's like, usually if it's a union spot, it's quick, it's on time, it's fast, it moves, and you're done quickly, and you make the most amount of money.
Right.
Non-union is like, here, sit in this folding chair. We'll be with you in 15 hours. Have some peanuts. You're like, oh my God, why do I do this?
Can we have you back when the movie is out and all that stuff?
Absolutely,
we'll talk more about it.
And actually, pretty soon, obviously, we'll let you know, John. We're going to have a screening for cast and crew.
Cool.
I'll play you when we get off. I'll play you the music that we have. We only have one song at the end. It's just, it makes me laugh every time, and I shouldn't go on record saying it, but we wanted to get another song, and we couldn't get that song. It was too pricey, so we had a guy make another song.
It was kind of like that song?
Yeah.
Is it like Who You Gonna Call? Spirit Getters.
There's a whole world out there of people that's what they do, you know?
That's the Transmorphers movie.
Yeah, it's like Transmorphers.
Atlantic Rim.
I want this thing to succeed. I want to see you continue to blow up. Big fan
thank
of
you
yours.
very much.
Fantastic.
You're one of the good ones in town, so we want to see the rise to continue.
Yeah. My fingers crossed. I don't know if I should put it out there because some people. My nemesis.
Nobody root. Hey, anybody listening to the show better
John
not root
against.
So
it's on John. It's on.
But
John.
I wanted to premiere. I don't know. I wanted to do what the other producers want. So that's first and foremost. But I personally would like it to be at the LA Film Festival.
Okay.
Since we all live in LA,
dude.
We made it in LA.
I think you'll get it. I think you'll get it. I was in a movie that won Best Picture at the LA Film Festival.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So
yeah.
I mean, you can do it.
Right,
Why are you laughing?
Just because I was in most of the movie. It's like it's good. It's good. It's a good award.
You don't want to say which one it is?
No, it's Garbage. Garbage won.
Oh yeah. You got a good shot.
Right.
Yeah. John's right.
Yeah, I mean, Garbage is a great movie. It was just. There
was a garbage truck at the premiere at Man's Chinese Theater.
There was.
Was that the one you were doing when you did the podcast? You had just got back from something in Texas.
Oh no, that was that hide and seek movie.
Oh, okay.
That's almost done too.
Cool. I don't even know.
Yeah, I did it's a independent movie about an adult hide and seek or tag championship.
That's right.
Funny.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was like improv, but I don't know. We'll see. Everyone says it's looking good. So,
Dwayne, where can people find you?
DwaynePerkins.com is the website. I got to have you on my podcast too, Bryan. Movie Night is the podcast with Dwayne and TK. They can find that iTunes, anywhere.
TK Kelly.
TK Kelly. And DwaynePerkins.com. Funny DP is a Twitter handle. And I got some stuff coming up in next year in Canada.
Yeah.
In Chicago. Not Chicago, Illinois. So
where at in Illinois?
It's like begins with an M. It's Mundelein.
Mundelein?
Mundelein. Is that how am I saying it
Jesus,
right?
yeah. Anybody near Mundelein next year, go check out Dwayne Perkins.
Great name for a city.
February 12th and 13th, Mundelein for like a rock station. I'm doing a show.
Perfect.
And then I'm doing some stuff in Canada.
Mundelein will be just how it sounds, just so you know.
Is that right?
Yeah. You'll get out there and be like, oh yeah, if I was just discovering this place, I'd call it Mundelein. And where in Canada? What are you doing in Canada?
The weekend before that, 5th and 6th, I'll be Victoria Island, which is in Vancouver. And then I'm doing a festival up there last week of February. I think it's Kitchener, Waterloo. The Waterloo Festival, the Kitchener Festival.
Sounds cold.
Yeah,
Dwayne,
super cold.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank
being
you-
on the
thank
show,
you for
man.
having
Really
me, guys.
appreciate it. And
Thank you.
best of luck with Dying to Kill.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Hollywood Anonymous. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Hollywood Anani. That is short for Hollywood Anonymous. You can also follow John individually at John Huck and myself, Bryan Erwin, at Bryan Erwin on Twitter as well. Both of us can be found on Facebook. You can also Google us and contact us directly, HollywoodAnonymousGuys@gmail.com. Thank you again so much for listening, and please don't forget to subscribe